everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about fad diets and kind of what I consider to be a fad diet and why they can be ridiculous at times. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skill at my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Sorry about that, guys. Nova's going to be walking around. I've got my studio set up in hardwood flooring. The dog is kind of free to wander around, so you guys are just going to have to deal with the pup or doggo. So, back to the point of fad diets. You know, when you start looking at stuff out there, every time you mention fad diets versus when you look at research, everyone says, well, I think this is an extreme diet. How dare you call my diet an extreme diet? Look, no one is defending the Western diet and telling people to sit around eating cheeseburgers and soda all day. No one's talking about that as far as health goes. But when you have people who have diets that exclude entire healthy food groups, right? And I don't care whether it's meat, I don't care whether it's carbs, whatever it happens to be. We're talking about whole foods. I'm sorry, that's a fad diet. And you can make whatever you want of it. But when we're talking about actual health, that doesn't appear to be the case as far as things go. Because everyone will always say, well, this is responsible for heart attacks. This is responsible for cardiovascular disease. Well, that's what we need to be looking at. We need to be looking at cardiovascular disease. We need to be looking at cancer, because that's what kills people. Let's be honest here. We're talking about people dying due to medical issues that are lifestyle related. That's your big two. Heart attacks kill more people in the United States than anything else, right? And I mean literally anything else. All this stuff we worry about, you know, what do we worry about? Gun violence, things like that. That's nothing compared to our heart attack rate. I mean, you start talking about homicides, like in the United States, heart attacks are over 100 times as many heart attacks kill people in this country every year as homicides do. All right, so let's be realistic here. What is your real killer? It's heart attacks. And then cancer is right there behind it. Quite a bit further down the chain, but it is there. But when we start looking at the actual data, which foods seem to be associated with the lowest rates of heart attacks? Look at the big meta-analysis. I pulled up a study a while back, a month or two ago, where they had done a big review, and you know what they found? That people who ate the most fruits, vegetables, nuts, meat, and dairy, right there, those 5 things. If you eat all 5 of those things, that pretty much rules out every fad diet out there. Every single exclusion diet that anybody throws out there is going to eliminate something on those 5 lists, isn't it? Think of any diet, any of these popular diets. I don't care whether it's a vegan diet, a vegetarian diet, a keto diet, a carnivore diet, hell, even a paleo diet, because it doesn't allow dairy. It's going to exclude something on that list. But what they found was that people who lived pretty much on those things, the more of those that you ate, the lower your rate of cardiovascular disease. All right, that was done in a bigger review. And that might fly in the face of a lot of people, because you'll have all the people on certain areas, oh my God, I can't, meat, no. Well, no, meat's not necessarily the problem. It's not unprocessed meats that's the issue there. We're not talking about bacon and sausage here. We're talking about people who eat chicken, steak, people consume dairy, normal whole dairy. We're not talking about ice cream. But by that same token, they'll freak out. But, well, that's not what the data showed. By that same token, the keto people will be like, oh my God, fruit? Did you really say fruit? Because, I mean, if you're going to follow some of these keto-tard diets, fruits are going to be a problem. If you're going to follow a paleo diet, actually, the idea behind paleo isn't even that bad, is it? Not really that bad. But it excludes dairy. But start looking at the stuff on dairy. Dairy doesn't really seem to be correlated with heart attacks. Not correlated with cancer. In fact, some dairies are negatively correlated with cancer. But what we do know is that people who consume fair amounts of dairy actually tend to be slightly leaner. It seems to be really good for weight loss, because dairy seems to be very well associated with muscle retention and satiety in diets. You start getting over the weight loss, well, weight loss is important when it comes to everything from heart attacks to cancer. But, you know, you start looking at these foods, and all these different people want to blame these foods for these problems. They want to blame it for heart disease. They want to blame cancer on these. You know, again, the vegans will blame meat. They'll blame you eating chicken breast and drinking milk and eating yogurt for causing cancer. They'll try to claim, oh, the animal proteins cause cancer. Well, it's not supported by the data. They pull that from Dr. Campbell's rodent research from the 1950s, and that's what they have, and they just completely ignore all modern human research because it doesn't match their little paradigm, so they ignore it. And the keto people are just as ridiculous. They talk about sugar and cancer, and it's like, that's not really that well supported. And in what world do you think cutting fruit out of your diet is going to stop cancer? I mean, again, it's absurd. You go start looking at the data, these foods aren't the problem. The problem is consuming excessive amounts of heavily refined foods, right? Like everyone's concerned about fruit. I think that they just mean consuming excessive amounts of refined sugars. No one is worried. No medical doctor or registered dietitian or researcher in these fields is worried about you eating bananas or watermelon, okay? That's not what we're talking about excessive sugar intake. Same thing when we're talking about people eating large amounts of processed red meats and things. What we're talking about here is eating a huge amount of bacon. We're talking about eating huge amounts of sausage. All right, we're not talking about your cut of sirloin steak, your chicken breast. Hell, we're not even talking about most of your dairy. Because in spite of the saturated fat intake of dairy, it doesn't seem to actually be correlated that much with heart disease, and definitely not with cancers. Other than whole milk and prostate cancer having a slightly higher risk in men, but that's the only one that there's even a correlation there. So what the hell are people talking about? All right, our concerns here are fried foods, throwing bacon on everything, right? Bacon on everything. All right, eating a double bacon cheeseburger with French fries and washing it down with a Coca-Cola. All right, that's what we're talking about as being bad for you. And I think most people would agree that that is not a proper meal, and it's certainly not something you should be eating all the time. In moderation, you can still get away with that. In moderation, you can get away with that and be just healthy if you diet and exercise and you eat a balanced diet otherwise, and you're very physically active. You can still get away with that on occasion. You can get away with those things. They shouldn't be a staple of your diet. But when you start talking about eliminating entire food groups, like some of the stuff we just named, like you start talking about eliminating fruit, you start talking about eliminating dairy, when a person doesn't have a specific medical issue related to it, that's a fad diet. That's absurd. I'm sorry, that is absurd. It's not based on the scientific literature. And if you're promoting that, you're promoting silly-ass fad diets. And I don't have a whole hell of a lot of use for it, and I don't have a whole lot of use for you. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest about it. Hell, potatoes. That's another one. A lot of people are like, oh, potatoes are a terrible food. Have you looked at the nutrition profile on potatoes? If you look at the satiety factor on potatoes, potatoes are actually a really good fat loss food. You ever look at the vitamin C content and a lot of the minerals in potatoes? You look at the magnesium content of a potato, they're a nutrition powerhouse. Potatoes are a superfood. Hell, there are entire nations that pretty much survive almost on potatoes. And they do okay in spite of it. So people want to blame all these whole foods. They want to blame these whole foods for problems. And they want to follow these silly-ass fad diets that eliminate whole foods, when realistically what you need to be looking at is, hey, maybe we need to curb our pizza consumption. Maybe we need to curb our Coca-Cola consumption. Right? Maybe we shouldn't have so many double bacon cheeseburgers. Not saying some of these things can't be consumed in moderation and still be healthy, but a lot of people don't do moderation. It's the lack of moderation with these foods, combined with not being physically active, not training, not working out, being sedentary. That's your problem. And the fad diets don't seem to want to address that because it's hard to sell, hey, just don't eat a lot of junk food, track your food intake, track your calories, and train. Make sure you get enough fruits and vegetables. It's kind of hard to market that, isn't it? It's kind of hard to sell that in a diet book. And that's the problem. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.